Hi everyone, this is Donna Savage with Talk with Savage Desires, and today I have invited beautiful Silvia from Uganda, East Africa. Sylvia, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Donna. I'm so delighted to be a part of this. I'm so happy and excited.
You know what?
My name is, yeah.
Go ahead, Sylvia. Go ahead.
So my name is Silvia Mpaire. Sylvia is the Christian name, then Mpaire is African name. And it has a very big meaning behind it.
Okay.
I was born on a Sunday morning, and as a preacher was preaching, my mom went into labor and she was rushed into the hospital, and she gave birth to me on a Sunday morning. So I was given that name by a bishop, and it means God-given.
God-given. And I can believe that, because you definitely are a God-given gift, because we don't talk a lot, but the first time we spoke, the energy that was exchanging online was just was superseding, like it was amazing. So I felt really connected to you. The simple fact, when I did the last show, we were talking about abuse, and you said me too. Because a lot of people are not going to be so forthright and so brave to say that. Anyways, this episode, we're going to be talking about life after divorce. But before we go into the life after divorce, tell me a little bit about your marriage before divorce.
Thank you so much, Donna. I met my ex-husband, the father of my kids now, is late. When I was at the university, he was finishing the university and I was just joining. And so we fell in love with each other, and I went home and introduced him home. In Africa, there are two types of marriages. So when you get a husband, you do customary marriage, which is introduction, where your husband has to pay dowry if he's liked by your family. Then after that, you go to church and you get blessings from the church. So I did both, and we were happily married the first year. First year, it was merry, we loved each other. And second year, I got my first child, who is Nathan. He's now 11 years. Then things started changing. He started changing. He became abusive. He started drinking. He started abusing me. He started beating me up. But there is a very strong culture here in Africa. When a girl is married, you are not supposed to leave your marriage. However much abusive it might be, you are supposed to stay there after the man, brought all this bride price, brought cows to your family. So you're like a property that is in the market to be sold. You're like the man is property. So anyway, I really endeavored. I shared it with my mom because I only have a mom. I grew up with my mom. My dad was killed during war. And she really encouraged me to stay into the marriage, however abusive it was. Anyway, I pushed on. It was really, really, really abusive. He would come back drunk and hit me up. Anyway, I pushed on. Then later I got my second pregnancy. It was worse. And I couldn't hold it anymore. When I was about 9 months pregnant, he hit me. He had to pierce me. He pierced me on my thigh, and my thigh was really swollen when I was pregnant. So I decided to walk out of marriage. This time I didn't tell any of my family members because they were against me moving out of the marriage. So I just moved out of the marriage, very pregnant with a very big stomach, 9 months pregnant, almost due, with my son, who was by then 2.5 years. So I moved out, got a place where to stay. That was a Saturday. And on Monday, I went into labor and I went into the theater and I was operated on. And I gave birth to my baby girl, Nicole.
Wow. Wow, Sylvia.
Yes.
This is the thing, eh?
Yeah.
And I guess it's culture-wise.
Yeah.
The simple fact that here you are coming and saying, I'm being abused by this man, and is it because I like the way you say, I'm so kerfuffled over the whole thing that you're parent or your mom is saying, stay,
Yeah. Yeah.
because to me, that's like, what? You know,
Yeah.
um, no judgment, because I mean, traditions are
Mm-hmm.
traditions, but
Yeah.
I can't fathom my mother saying to me, oh, but then I understand the whole dowry thing. And you said you felt like you're a property because of the exchange of the
Yeah.
customary marriage.
Yeah.
It's like a gift. So, here, I'm giving you
Mhm.
all of this. I'm giving you the stock, da 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 da. And mom is saying, okay, so here is my daughter. It's like it's an exchange. But for someone to sit into that relationship and endure what you endure, that's crazy, you
Yeah.
know, but it also made you stronger as well. For you to get up and walk out,
Mm-hmm.
that makes you real
Mm-hmm.
strong as well. I'm so sorry, there's something in my
Mm-hmm.
eye.
It's okay. It's okay. So it wasn't easy, Donna. It wasn't really, really easy at all. So just imagine walking out when you're really very pregnant. I had odema plus plus. I don't know if you know what that means.
No, explain.
Um, so odema plus is when your feet is really swollen. My feet was swollen, and I had some swollen stuff below my belly, and it was soft. So the doctor described it as edema. And whenever you'd press my skin, it would go inside like someone who's anemic. I was really, I think I was in depression. I didn't know. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because I keep telling women, there's no woman who would love to leave their marriage. I mean, marriage is a beautiful thing. But when it turns into abusive, when one party is not respecting the other party, it loses meaning. It loses meaning.
So you said it for the first year of your relationship, it was okay, or it was good, it
Yeah,
was
first year
great.
it was okay. Yes,
So there was
yes.
no sign of this person that first year. He just went out, got drunk, and then his true personality came out.
Yes. So first year, it was merry, merry. It was so beautiful. We loved each other. Would go out to visit different places, go on safari. Second year, when the baby came in, actually before the baby came in, when I was pregnant, it starts to change. It starts to change. Remember, we were both Christians. I'm a Christian. He was a Christian. So little did I know that he was drinking. I think he was, but he hid it from me. And later, that's when his true character comes in during our second year of marriage. That's when I discovered that actually he drinks. Later, he became alcoholic and he became addicted to drinking. And he really became abusive, hitting me, abusing me, calling me names. We were living on apartments where there are other people, but the whole area knew me, and because there was always noise in our house. So I was always embarrassed. I was always embarrassed in the morning, leaving the house, going to work. Everyone would look at me. I was the talk of the day. And I didn't want my son or my children to grow up in such environments, in abusive environment. I kept
Mhm.
asking myself, did I make a mistake to get married? I did it all well. I went to church. I was blessed. What is it? I kept blaming God. I kept blaming God, Donna, until I moved out.
Mhm.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Did he ever blame you? Do you guys have blame you for leaving? Is he still around? Do you still have a relationship with him? And
So, sorry, should I continue?
yeah, go ahead, sweetie.
So when I was at the hospital with my baby after giving birth, he was informed by one of his friends. A lady came and visited me at the hospital. So that was a mutual friend, our mutual friend. So called him and said, Moses, your wife has given birth to a baby girl. He came at the hospital, looked at the baby and named the baby, and he left. He left, but so when he left, he went back. Of course, he didn't pay any bills. I did everything, I paid the bills. Then I was out of the hospital. Remember, I'd really left him and he didn't know where I was living. So I stayed with my kids, my two kids alone. He was staying alone. And until 3 years ago, I was called and I was told that he was at hospital very sick. And I went there because the thing is we had shared blood, and I didn't want my kids to blame me in future that mommy, you didn't trust your dad, you didn't do this. So I really wanted to make it clear to my kids. I took the kids to see him at the hospital. They visited him, but my daughter couldn't recognize him. But even my son, because he was very little, he wasn't in the picture whatsoever. But I kept telling my kids that, oh, you have a dad. So when we went to see him at the hospital, he was bedridden. He was very, very sick. He got liver problem, I think because of alcohol, because of drinking. His liver was damaged. So we see him very ill, and my daughter couldn't recognize him. I remember my daughter taking a very deep breath. By then, my daughter was 5 years. She's now 8, and she didn't say a word. We looked at him. When he was on bedridden, he apologized to me. He said, Sylvia, I want you to forgive me from the bottom of your heart. I'm so sorry for all what I did. Please forgive me. Take care of my kids. I told him, I responded and told him that if I hadn't forgiven you, I wouldn't be here today. I forgave you. So, but he said, I'm so sorry. It was a mistake that I made. I went into drinking and I forgot about my family. Here I'm going to die, and I'm dying in this mess. But anyway, to cut the long story short, the following week he passed on.
Wow. All right. So he passed on. So how is that? How is life after marriage? Because technically you're a widower. You're a widower. You're a widow.
I don't like saying that because I had moved out. I had moved out, and he wasn't in the picture whatsoever. I was already like a widow because he wasn't in the picture. He wasn't in my life anymore. So the fact is, Donna, it's been hard. It's been hard. When he was alive, one, from the bottom of my heart, the love had gone like 101%. I didn't have love for him because of what I went through. And I was broken pieces. But I knew he was there. Sometimes my kids would come back from school and say, Mommy, so-and-so's daddy came to school today and visited. But for me, I have no daddy. So that alone, I would break down and cry. Sometimes I would call him and say, please talk to your son. He's asking about you. He couldn't respond. But the day he passed on, I remember I was at school. I'm a teacher. So I was at school and the brother called me. I was in class, so my phone was somewhere. I don't have my phone when I'm at work. So called my brother later at playtime, during recess, playtime break. My brother calls and says, Silvia, bad news, he's passed on. So I'm telling you, I froze. I couldn't move. I remember I was on duty supervising children at the playground. I just sat down and I couldn't imagine. I said, okay, he's dead. I froze. Up to now, I'm still in the healing process. But my son made a very, very strong statement when we were lowering the casket down. When we were lowering the casket, I broke down as someone. Of course, I shared blood with him, and he was once my husband. I can't deny that. So I broke down and started crying. Then my son came to me and patted me on the shoulder and said, Mommy, why are you crying? I said, Nathan, my son is called Nathan. He said, Nathan, you are now orphans. He said, Mommy, but I've never seen Daddy in our lives. We were like orphans. Mommy, I don't want to see you crying again. You've been our mommy, you've been our daddy. Please don't cry again. He got hold of my hand and took me away. That gave me comfort. So every time I remember that, it's a healing process for me. It's healing. But one important statement I can say is that moving out of that marriage, I've seen a lot. I'm so so peaceful. I'm happier than when I was in marriage. I can
course.
confess that.
Of
I'm
course.
so happy. I have a peace of mind. I'm happy generally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried. But before, when I was still there, I would even be worried of going back home.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, now, what am I going to find home? How is he going to come back? Is he going to come back when he's drunk? Is he going to hit me today? What is going to happen? So it was terrible.
So yeah, you know, the part that, you know what? Our children are
Yeah,
always, people are always thinking that we're here for our children, but our children are here to teach us so many things. And the simple thing that Nathan saw that you're crying over this man that he doesn't know,
yeah,
you know, it's like, so my question is to you is, it was it because of the children you were thinking of, or is it because of you? Like, why were you crying? I know you said you share blood with the blood, which is the children, but
yeah.
were you still deeply in love with him, or was it like, I'm just trying to understand why you were crying? Because I mean, you were separated from him for so long, and as Nathan said, he's never
Yeah.
been a part of their life.
Yeah. So the reason why I was crying, one, Donna, I grew
Mhm.
up as an orphan. I was an orphan. I lost my dad. Maybe that's a story for another day, but my dad was shot in our presence and he was killed in our presence. So growing up as an orphan, I never imagined that my kids would grow up as orphans too. So that I wasn't crying because of the love I had for him. I was
Mhm.
crying for my kids growing up as orphans, something that I never expected,
But
something that I never expected.
but you grew up, but you grew up with your mother, right?
Yeah,
So that was, you're not really an orphan. You were just you were just you know, orphans when two parents are gone. Yeah, you had
yeah,
mommy.
yeah, I had
they have
mommy.
they have mommy. You know what I
Yes,
mean? So
yes.
yeah, I can understand the trauma behind your dad getting shot and
Mhm,
with you there. That I
mhm,
can understand. But I guess it's just
mhm.
mindset, because a lot of
Yeah,
women stays in abusive relationship because of their children. But
yeah,
if we put pen to paper and really think about it, it's the fear of moving on too,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because can you imagine your
yeah.
kids, if you had stayed and your kids see the way they treat you, and then Nathan, which is the boy, is going to come up and think it's okay to treat other women like that, then the cycle is going to
Exactly.
continue. So you moving
Exactly.
out and moving forward, you just starting a new cycle. So that's great. That's
Yes, yes. So, but also it comes with a lot. It comes with a lot of which word do I want to say? It comes with a lot of fear and insecurity.
Mhm.
Now, ever since that, because it also comes with trust. Now I don't trust it. I lost trust for men. I don't trust men, and I have this generalization that all men are the same because up to now, I still live in fear. I still live in fear. I fear going into relationships because of that. Because I have two wonderful children already, and I keep thinking if I go into another relationship, my kids are going to be mistreated. So it comes with that. So I, I don't know how to deal with that now. One
But
thing, I'm not interested in marriage again. I don't want to get married again. Yeah.
you don't want to get married again, but are you still would you date someone? Because I mean, dating and getting married, I don't know what's the culture like there. If you start dating someone, if you have to get married to them, or you can just have relations without marriage.
Yes, yeah. You can date someone, but also I don't know. It's different here. So when you start dating, then before you know it, you get really stuck with this person. Then you want to get married, or this person will want to get to marry you. Then you have these kids in the picture. Then you don't know if he's going to be a father to these other kids. So you are in a dilemma there.
Hmm. So
Yes.
I know you mentioned that you really don't want another relationship because your fear from your last relationship, and you're thinking that all men are the same.
Mhm,
What if we
mhm.
just rethink and rewire your brain in thinking that there are amazing men out there who will love you unconditionally and your children? Because if we're going to constantly live in fear of what the ex did, then he still has the weight on you. That means
Mhm.
it's he's still holding on to you because you're showing fear of oh my God, that man is going to be just like my husband. So this is what forgiveness is. This
Yeah, yeah,
forgiveness is
yeah.
about, him gone. Then
Mm.
another person won't be like that. But then we have to think that it's not everybody's like your husband. Because if we continue doing that, we're gonna end up alone. So when Nathan and his sister is gone, who are you gonna end up with? You're gonna be by yourself rocking your chair up and down. And when Nathan and his sister's getting
And
married.
and you know what, Donna? Exactly what you said is what my son mentioned to me. He said at the start of the year, he said, "Mommy, look here. I'm growing. I'm 11. I'm going to grow and start my own family. Nicole is going to go away and get married. And you refuse to produce another child. So we are going to leave you alone." He mentioned that to me.
And he's 11.
He's 11.
He is a smart young man. So,
Oh my God.
listen, Sylvia, I need you to start working on yourself because not all crazy men are out there. Like, trust me, and I know because I'm coming from an abusive relationship and I've met amazing men, and I'm not going to let give him the power to hold me down. And
Yeah.
you shouldn't either. It's just as if you have a girlfriend, you have girlfriends, and one is really she's like always talking about other people, da 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 da, but then you have another person, another girlfriend who's amazing and she's just loving and caring. It's like, you know what I mean? So you can't judge this
Yeah.
bad note girlfriend to the other one because there's loving other girlfriends out there,
Yeah.
so you need, because you're a beautiful woman, why sit down and just go on like said nothing, look at you. Come on. Look at your smile. Listen, you better take that out there and go find another man to make him give your mother some
Yeah.
more cows and houses and, and stuff.
You know, if I decided to go in now, I wouldn't even allow bride price because now I'm old enough, I can decide for myself. I
Yeah.
wouldn't allow my family to ask for bride price or that funny
There you
stuff.
go.
No.
Right, there you go. You're experienced now. Listen, you're you're well experienced. So he's gonna be, you're worth it.
Yeah.
You're worth it. Wow. I am gonna
So
go ahead.
so that is my story. But I was really encouraged by that lady that shared her story. She opened up. I had never shared this story anywhere. I'd never opened up like the way I've opened up today. So, and when I heard her share her story, I was so much touched, Donna. I was so much touched. As I was watching her, listening to her story, tears were just rolling down my cheeks. I don't know why. I think I was touched by her story. I said, well, I think I need to share my story. There could be someone out there who is going through what I went through and they don't know what to do, or they're stuck in abusive marriage and would like to move out and they don't know how to start. And it's a lot here in Africa. It's a lot. So many women are living in abusive marriage, but because of so-called religion and they don't want to live out of to walk out of marriage because of fear, because of insecurity. What will people say if I leave this marriage? What is my family going to say? There's so many women out there living in the same situation that I was in before. So I thought by sharing this story, I would help someone out there who is living in the same situation as I did.
And I so appreciate that. We all have our healing to do. And you're right, there's tons of women who has
Yeah.
walked that journey and have nowhere to turn.
Mm.
I am really glad that you reached out to me and so we can have this conversation, because the minute you start talking, the
Yeah.
healing begins. The
Mm.
healing begins because our story, when we start talking and telling people what we're going through, is when the healing
Yeah.
begins.
Mm.
So I'm going to wrap this up.
Yeah.
So I want to tell you, thank you, Sylvia, to trusting me to come on here to discuss your journey and your story. And as I tell you earlier, the healing has begun, not only for you, but for your children as well, because you found the courage to stand up and says, you know what, I'm not taking this anymore. With or
Yeah.
without a back end or parents, and you did it. You got up and you moved for your own sanity and your children. So I recommend you on that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Donna. Before we go, because of what I went through, I started a small organization that helps teenage mothers that are going through the same, maybe that would be a story for another day. I can always book in you another day and
Yes.
share that.
Yes.
And I've seen a lot of transformation in my community around of young mothers, teenage mothers. So I started that out of passion, because of what I went through myself. So I started that small organization to help the young mothers to
Okay,
stand up
awesome.
upright and speak up for themselves. And also, I teach them skills, but I can share that in the next meeting if you give me the
Yes.
opportunity.
No, I will. I will. So I'm gonna tighten this up now. So this
Yeah.
conversation with myself and Silvia is about life after marriage, but she gave a tidbit of what her marriage is like. There is so much red flags when we're out there dating and meeting people. But sometimes when we're in a new relationship, the newness is so overwhelming, and we're probably not asking the right questions. But I have to give it to the women out there that's holding it down, that stood up, heads up, stressed out, and owning their shit to move away from abusive relationship to start anew. It's not easy. It's not easy. But the first thing is to start. This is Donna Savage with Talk with Savage Desires. Please like, subscribe, and share. Peace out.
Yes,